Let's freaking go, man. We got some breaking news, and I am pumped about it. The Las Vegas Raiders have hired GM John Spytek. This, to me, was my number one Raiders GM candidate that I want this organization to be able to bring in. And I do almost wonder if this is one of the moves that we are going in the right direction. I know that a lot of people were worried when the Raiders moved on from Tom Telesco, when the Raiders moved on from Antonio Pierce, when the Raiders lost out on Ben Johnson. There was a lot of panic amongst the nation's eyes. Let's not get it twisted. If you're somebody that wants stability, if you're somebody that wants to be able to build a football team that has had success in the past, why would you not be excited about John Spytek? I'm fired up right now, and if you're fired up, click that like button. We're going to be partying. We're going to be rallying, and I'm going to go through all the reasons why I knew John Spytek was going to be the hire here for the silver and black. We did a video probably about last week illustrating all the reasons. We'll kind of do another video like that today, but I want to interact with the nation. I want to know what y'all have to say. Hashtag Raiders or Super Chat. Get those questions, comments on the show. We already got over 1,000 people here in the building, and if you're not fired up that the Raiders went out and got John Spytek, he thinks exactly the way Tom Brady did. Spytek was the one that brought Tom Brady over to Tampa Bay. I think that worked out pretty damn well. They ended up getting a Super Bowl ring. Spytek and Brady, teammates back at Michigan. Their relationship goes all the way back to 1999. And when you know that that's the relationship, I think it's one of the reasons why they brought in Jed Hughes. We need some alignment on the top. This also is just another indication that Tom Brady is the one calling the shots. So let me know down below, how would you grade this hire here for the Las Vegas Raiders? A, B, C, D, or F? I'm telling you this right now, I don't give out many A grades since I've been doing this show here for the silver and black. This is a big old fat A. Like, I'm talking triple A. Like somebody broke down on the side of the road because I just had to pass out because the Raiders just got John Spytek, man. It's all A's down below. Offseason Lesbo, Tony, Ratchet, Keith, Raider Willie, Abel Beloso, all spamming those A's as well. And I'm telling you what, this is better hire than Dave Ziegler, better hire than Tom Telesco, better hire than Mike Mayock. Since I have covered this team, there has not been a general manager that has the experience, that also has just the credibility, that also aligns with a lot of the ways that I believe in how to build a successful football team. John Spytek is a great, great hire here for the Las Vegas Raiders. Let's go to Tony Williams. Tony, thanks for watching the show and still support my guy, Michael Avila. If you're not a Raiders fan, then get out. Hey, you know what? I don't mind people wanting to come over here and they act like I'm getting mad, but they're getting mad by putting money in my pocket. It's all good. What up, Boz? I like the hire. It's who I've been pulling for. I don't think it's a big splash, but it makes sense. We need people who work well together. Heard Cohen pulled out and has taken a raise to stay with Tampa Bay. Where do we go from head coach, offensive coordinator, and DC? Boz, appreciate you. And again, if you want to get your questions up here, Super Chat's going to be the easiest way to do it. Liam Cohen did pull out of the head coaching race today for the Jags because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did give him a significant raise, and I think that they gave him a significant raise today because there was also obviously a lot of things working in the background that Spytek was going to be going to Las Vegas, so they wanted to be able to keep somebody there who they thought, you know what, is a big reason why Baker got better, is a big reason why our offense was top 4 in a lot of categories. I've been saying this, and like I said last week with Spytek that I thought he was the top candidate that was going to get the job. It's why I did the video. I would say now, and this is just based off of information, based off reports, based off of what I hear, I know a lot of people are nervous about Pete Carroll, but you got to look at Pete Carroll as a bridge head coach. I know it's not a term that we use. It's a term that we really use for only quarterbacks. But I would say right now the Raiders' plan is this. You bring in somebody like a Pete Carroll. He's the head coach. Then you bring in a DC like Robert Saleh. You bring in an OC, somebody like a Frank Reich, or the other name, which I think is the big one, Mike LaFleur, OC of the Rams, doesn't call plays in Los Angeles, would call plays here for the Raiders, and when Saleh was hired for the Jets, he took LaFleur over there with them. My point is this. Mike LaFleur, Robert Saleh, OC, DC, and then with Pete Carroll, and then one of those two guys would take over the job once Pete Carroll decides to end up going. Now, I got to give a shout-out to our sponsor here, Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app out there. I got to take a breath, man. This breaking news got me excited. And I don't know about y'all, but I love me some Prize Picks, and there's a reason why. They are America's #1 daily fantasy sports app out there. And also, for those that do not know, the big game is right around the corner, and they're also going to be here to hook up the nation on some of these awesome deals. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Make sure that you use code CLNS. And here's one of the deals that I was talking about, where they're going to do one for the big game, but now they're also doing them for these other games as well. Jaden Daniels needs 1 passing yard on the more. If you want to then put one other one in for an Eagles player, a Commanders player, you're going to be able to do it, and it's a huge, huge shout out to our sponsor, Prize Picks. So one more time here, download the app today, code CLNS, $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Let's talk about our other sponsor here real quick, Game Time, because they're focused on bringing people together in 2025. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code ChatSports for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. Create an account, redeem code ChatSports for $20 off. Download Game Time today if you're looking for those last-minute tickets and that lowest price guaranteed. Here's my question of the nation. Who the hell's the best head coach to pair with John Spytek? Let me know y'all's thoughts down below. We got right now 1,700 people. And I don't know if Ron Raspberry's here, but I only see 270 likes down below. If you're a Raiders fan and you're not fired up about John Spytek, I'm going to do my best today to let y'all know that this is an outstanding hire. It's an outstanding hire by the Silver and Black. It might make some of the people that don't like me a little bit nervous because I agree with the ideology, the philosophy. A lot of the things that Spytek has done is very similar to the way that I think about in terms of building an NFL roster, building a football team. So if you agree with some of the stuff that I say, I think you're going to like Spytek a lot. Some of you are like, I don't know, Mitch, you get a little bit crazy sometimes. I do. But to me, you can go out now and you can find a really good match, but it has to be somebody that thinks similar to Spytek, and it needs somebody that thinks very similar to somebody also like Tom Brady. I see Dion down there below from Raider Willie, Pete Carroll from Ratchet Raider. A lot of Dions, a lot of Carrolls. I see a Mike McCarthy coming in from Anthony. A ton of Monkins as well. I think Todd Monken would be a really fun hire for Spytek, though the way that he operates his offense is typically, I don't think, is in the same boat as a guy like Monken. We'll see, though. We will see. We will see, man. What up, Raider Marte? Thank you so much, man, for sending in the good vibes. I got Malachi Muhammad. He said it's a great hire. I agree with you. John Spytek. Next up, Dion. Again, the whole Dion conversation, and it was a video that I did yesterday, was more around we need to revisit it. And I said that we need to revisit it because it was reported by Raiders beat reporters that there's zero interest in Dion. To me, when you look at how many swings and misses Raiders beat reporters have had, and, just off the top of my head, it was reported that Telesco was going to stay. It was reported that Brian Flores, Liam Cohn, and Mike Vrabel were the front runners. None of those players or none of those people have had interviews with the Raiders. And then it was reported that Ben Johnson was the favorite to get the job. My only point is this. Because they swung and missed so bad there, I wanted to revisit the idea of Dion, and I think it's the safest hire for Mark Davis. I'm not saying it's the safest hire for the Raiders, but if you hire Dion, Dion's going to be able to make the Raiders enough money where they're going to be able to pay off John, Josh, AP, Mayock, Ziegler, Telesco, and they're going to be able to pay off Dion and everybody else that's ended up brought in there. That's how much money Dion would make. Let's go to Tony again. Seriously, wouldn't McCarthy be better than Pete Carroll? I think that he would. If I was the Raiders and you told me would I rather hire Pete Carroll or would I rather hire Mike McCarthy, I would rather hire Mike McCarthy. He's an offensive-minded coach, which is something that the Raiders need. And I think when you look at what the recency is, McCarthy's done a better job. Yeah, I get it. He did a maybe not great job in Dallas. He was also dealing with Jerry Jones. People talk about the Raiders being a poverty franchise. The Cowboys might hire Brian Schottenheimer. He had a 4-hour interview yesterday. He's going in for a second interview today. Like, you think the Raiders got it bad? I'm telling y'all right now, the Dallas Cowboys fans are distraught. Tom's going to Jags are in a bad spot as well. I think Patrick Graham's going to get that job. I think Patrick Graham's going to get the Jags job because I don't think Saleh would take it, and I think PG would be the only person that would take that job. That's a fact. Also, We got some more random breaking news here, which kind of happened 20 minutes ago while we were getting all this stuff going. Aaron Glenn took the job to be the next head coach of the New York Jets. Let's go to my man, Suave. What's up, Swab? What's up, dude? Am I late? Sorry. Hey, dude, never apologize for work and doing your thing. I'm always going to do my thing. Y'all are always going to do your thing. The best part about the Raiders Report is this. You're going to know, like, y'all know I'm going to be here. So if you can't make it live, show up 2 hours from now. Show up 3 hours from now. If y'all want to get weird, we can get a little bit weird. I'm down to celebrate the hell out of this freaking hiring, man. I am super, super pumped that the Raiders went out and got John Spytek. And I know that we've done a lot of conversation around head coach. And the head coach is going to be the one that gets a lot of the attention. But when you look at really well-run organizations, it's the GM that's calling a lot of the shots. Look at the Eagles in another NFC Championship game. Great job by Howie Roseman. Look at the Washington Commanders. And again, the Commanders have got a lot of things going for them. They got Cliff. They got Jaden. But you know also what they did? They went out and they got my number one GM candidate from last year, Adam Peters. And that team looks like that they're doing a lot of great things. And they killed it in free agency. You look at the Chiefs. Chiefs got Patrick Mahomes. Chiefs got Andy Reid. But also the GM for the Chiefs is very well respected. And then their assistant GM just got hired to Tennessee. And GM is very, very important. And then Buffalo as well. You got to have the right people in place from top to bottom. Let's go to my man, Doug Scherber. Doug, I don't know if you know this, but your last name contains beaver gland. Anal beaver gland to make it more so you want another bite of sherbet. If you don't believe me, you can look it up. Mitch, do you think if we get Pete Carroll, we will try and trade for Geno, or do we get Darnold in free agency? Darnold is a name that's been brought up a bunch, and it's going to be a video that I do probably either tomorrow or sometime along the weekend. Again, everything changes every day for me here, so it's kind of hard to wrap my mind around what videos I'm going to make for all y'all. But I do think that you could look at a potential bridge, and Pete Carroll, did a great job finding a young rookie in Russell Wilson. He did a great job finding a bridge quarterback, somebody like a Geno Smith. But Geno could be an option. Sam Darnold could be an option. I'll say this. I just really, really believe that the Raiders are all in on Shedeur Sanders. And I think that that's the guy that they want. And I would say that there's a better chance that the Raiders draft Shedeur than signing Geno, than signing a guy like Sam Darnold. But the fact that we went out and got John Spytek, if you're not at least a little bit intrigued by the year Darnold just had in Minnesota and what Spytek in that regime, Liam Cohen gets a lot of credit, but Spytek, again, is the guy that brought Brady to Tampa Bay. Spytek is also a big reason Liam Cohen got that job in Tampa Bay. You got to be at least a little bit intrigued by Sam Darnold now. It's just the question is how much you're going to pay him. Because I think if you pay Sam Darnold, you're going to be looking at a 3-year, $100 million contract, which might scare some people, but that's what a quarterback's going to cost. Let's go to Raiders Smoke 89. Hell yeah. Love the hire, young and coming GM. Raiders Smoke 89. My man Papaya. I actually saw you yesterday. I was beat bopping around some other Raiders YouTube channels yesterday, listening, tuning in. Alex is out of town, so I had some extra free time. And I saw you were on a show yesterday, and you were sending in some questions. So I love the fact that, you guys don't only rock with me. There's enough content to go around. It's like a TV, it's like a television, right? Like, there's not just one channel on a TV. There's hundreds of channels. And if you like me, if you like other people, there's a different taste for everything. So Raiders Smoke, Papaya, man, I salute you, dude. Seriously, I really, really do. Let's go to another one coming in here on today's show. Reminder. Hashtag Raiders or Super Chat. And you know what? I figured John Spytek, I had to rock my Jedi Spidey jersey. And if somebody bangs, I'm going to get nicey. I'd rather have Ohio State OC as our coach. So you're talking about Chip Kelly. And Chip Kelly is a very interesting name, no doubt about it. He does want to come back to the NFL. But you know what's interesting, and I'm always like timing is everything. Timing is everything. I do find it interesting that in just like the last 48 hours, Nick Saban, and there's a lot of conversations around Nick Saban wanting to come back to the NFL now. You can say what you want. If you're excited about Pete Carroll, tell me why you wouldn't be excited about Nick Saban. Like, if there is a college coach, and I talk a lot about Deion, and I still will say this, Deion Sanders, okay, is a guarantee he's bringing Shedeur. So you fix your quarterback problem. But if anybody out there is not at least a little bit intrigued by the idea of Nick Saban, Jalen Milroe, maybe a sign of Justin Fields, bulk up that offensive line a little bit, get the tight ends working with Brock Bowers, Jackson Powers Johnson. I don't know about y'all. Sounds kind of interesting. I see a lot of Monkins down below. I love me some Tom Monken. I would love for Monken to be the hire here. Let's go to Albert, head coach Dion, Sanders and Hunter to Las Vegas. Much love to Chugs. Yeah, we knew that we were going to get some laughs around this one, and I don't know if y'all saw the Tennessee Titans. I actually think they came out and said that we are not going to pass on a generational talent. They used the word generational talent at the number 1 pick. To me, the only player that has true generational type of talent, I know it's a term that's used a lot, but let's be honest, the only player that's got true generational talent is Travis Hunter. And Travis Hunter did say the other day that he'd love to play with Dion in the NFL. Would you want the Raiders to hire Nick Saban? Yes or no? And I love when we get these type of questions because that's what the Raiders Report's all about. This is a honest, live reaction. I'm getting the news just like all y'all are getting the news, right? As soon as Spytek is hired, the Chat Sports studio here is frantically moving. Chugs runs into, I was in a meeting. Chugs runs in, he's like, yo, they just hired Spytek. We're going live. There's so many moving parts, which is why I love doing these type of live shows here. I do see a lot of no's. I see a few yeses down below. No to Saban on Dave. Raider Willie says no. Somebody said bring in Cliff. I know what Cliff's doing from an offensive standpoint, but turning down Nick Saban for Cliff Kingsbury, I think would be kind of interesting, man. Go get Monken. There's a lot of comments down there for Monken. We got 3,000 people here in the building. We're going to go through some of these super chats quick, and then we are going to get into the cut on the Raiders hiring Spytek and why I was able to predict that it was going to end up happening. So this is going to be the last super chat. Then we're going to get into about a 15-minute cut. Then I'm going to go back to all the super chats. And as long as the questions are flowing, Jeremy, Chugs, and I will continue to stay live. Raiders need to stay away from Darnold. That's fool's gold. I think it's fool's gold depending on the situation. Sam Darnold on certain teams, fool's gold. Sam Darnold in the right situation was able to prove that he's able to get at least the job done. I don't know if I would say fool's gold was somebody that was really able to help kind of reestablish Baker Mayfield's career. Again, Liam Cohen's going to get a lot of credit, and he deserves a ton of credit. But why is John Spytek not getting credit for bringing Tom Brady into Tampa, getting a ring, and then also helping Baker Mayfield get down to Tampa Bay and turning him into what he is now? John Spytek deserves a lot of credit, and I know the Raiders have a lot of question marks around the quarterback position. This is the perfect hire for where the Raiders are standing right now. All right, y'all, if you haven't yet, click that like button. I don't know about y'all. I needed this one today. I really needed this win today. All right, let's go. Coming up, I know the water went down the wrong pipe. Coming up, let's talk about John Spytek here on the Raiders Report. We got breaking news. The Las Vegas Raiders have gone out and they have hired general manager John Spytek. He was the assistant GM for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he has a lot of ties to Tom Brady. So coming up here on today's show, I'm going to go through the latest around the Raiders hiring Spytek. I'm also going to tell you why a week ago I put out a video that said, I think the Raiders are going to hire John Spytek, and I'm going to go through all those reasons why it's important to follow rumors, it's important to follow tea leaves, it's important to follow the smoke, because then you would have got to the fire. The fire is the Raiders hiring John Spytek. All that coming up here on today's show. If you didn't know that Spytek was the front runner, if you didn't know that I put out a video last week that I thought the Raiders are going to hire him, this is why you hit that subscribe button. This is why you turn on those notifications. I know we put out a lot of content here on this show, and I think a lot of times people get the content that we put out here a little bit confused. We go live, we put out breaking news, and I'm a Raider fan just like all y'all. When I got the breaking news, I said, let's frickin' go. If you had that reaction, make sure you're subscribed. So for those that do not know, the Silver and Black requested to interview Spytek back on January 14th, and I think timing is everything in the NFL. The Raiders were trying to get Ben Johnson, and I think one of the names that the Raiders were trying to convince Johnson to come to Silver and Black with was Spytek, because this was the second name that the Raiders picked in their interview process. They first went with Eric Sullivan, John Eric Sullivan from Green Bay, but Spytek was the name that as soon as he got the interview request, I was fired up about it because he's got 2 years of assistant general manager experience at Tampa Bay. He's been working in the NFL for 21 years, and when you look at what he's done recently, I think he deserves a lot of credit because the Buccaneers have been an organization that have won a lot recently. I mean, you're talking about the 5th most playoff wins since Spytek went to Tampa Bay back in 2016. They got a Super Bowl win. And the Bucs, there were some winning seasons in there. There's some losing seasons as well. But one of the things that I find very interesting about the timing of this is the Bucs drafted Jameis Winston very high in the draft, and they struggled for a year or two because Jameis wasn't, what they thought he was going to be. But when you see the Buccaneers' success, especially recent success, it's when they put him in charge of VP of player personnel decisions, and then they made him the assistant GM for the last 2 seasons. So, if you didn't already know, is Tom Brady running the show? Brady's running the show in the hiring process. But why I'm excited also about Spytek is because who else here believes that you need stability? How many other people here think like, all right, if we're going to have Tom Brady calling the shots, doesn't it make sense to have a GM where they think the exact same way instead of butting heads all the time? Tom Brady and John Spytek think exactly, and I mean exactly the exact same way, which is why I love this hire. So is Brady running the show? Yeah. Spytek, I also said there needs to be somebody that is willing to take a little bit of a back seat to a guy like Brady, and Spytek and Brady are going to be able to work together because they've been friends for such a long time. If you don't know why that I was able to predict Spytek to Las Vegas, first off, the Raiders did interview him back in 2022, and this was one of those interviews that a lot of people were looking at, and maybe you didn't recognize, but this was one of those where I was like, all right, I kind of like this one. So the fact that the Raiders also interviewed him in 2022, I know how Mark Davis thinks. Mark goes, oh, okay, like I signed off on this one before, and Tom Brady's signing off on it now. That's just like that extra little check mark there for Mark Davis. And not choosing Spytek proved to be the wrong move. We can all agree on that, right? Hiring Dave Ziegler, hiring Tom Telesco over Spytek ended up being the wrong move. But he's been a wanted candidate for multiple years, and he's been a wanted candidate because he was the guy that helped get Tom Brady down to Tampa Bay. Like, the connections, the writings on the walls were already there, and I know a lot of y'all are probably wondering, all right, Mitch, you said he helped him get to Tampa Bay. He did. Spytek called Brady and said, hey, let's run this thing. Imagine how much pull Spytek had where he got Tom Brady to leave the New England Patriots and Bill Belichick after all those years. I know there were some rufflings, but when you win that much, sometimes you're able to push some of that stuff down. If you're wondering what Spytek did for Tampa Bay, this is according to Buccaneers.com. As assistant general manager, Spytek works closely with Buccaneers general manager Jason Litch regarding the NFL draft, key free agent acquisitions, and all other personnel decisions. Spytek oversees the day-to-day operations of the college and pro scouting departments for Tampa Bay. He is responsible for administrating free agency preparation and evaluating talent throughout the NFL and other professional football leagues. Since joining the Buccaneers in 2016, Tampa Bay has clinched 4 playoff appearances, 6 playoff victories, 3 NFC South titles, and a Super Bowl championship. The team's 6 playoff wins since 2016 are tied for the 5th most in the NFL during that span. If you're not fired up for the Raiders hiring John Spytek, I don't even know why the hell you're here. Hit that like button. This is the best Raiders GM hire since I have been a host on this show. Better than Mayock, better than Ziegler, better than Tom Telesco, and I am really excited about it. Also, I'm excited about? The big game is just around the corner, and I don't know about y'all, tickets are going to be expensive. Maybe they'll be a little bit, lesser expensive thanks to our sponsor here, Game Time. And if you're like me, I like to be able to create those lasting memories, and that's what Game Time is all about. You might not remember the score, but you're going to have those memories for your entire life. And Game Time's got a brand new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. What I love about using the Game Time app is that you get that lowest price guarantee on any ticket to any event, all in pricing so you don't get slapped with crazy fees at checkout, and flash deals so you can get even cheaper tickets the closer you wait to Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. That link's going to be available to you all down in the comments and in the description of today's show. Again, terms apply. Create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Shout out to Game Time, and if you're wondering what time is it, it's game time. It's game time because the Raiders just hired John Spytek to be the general manager. Let's keep rolling here, though. Why Spytek to LV makes a lot of sense here. So we helped get Tom Brady to Tampa Bay. Relationships in life, relationships in the NFL, it proves to me every single year that it is very, very important, right? It's important that way to get a real job. You need to be able to get that connection. The way that Spytek was able to get Brady down to Tampa Bay is because familiarity. And because also they knew that they thought very similarly, and they were also teammates at Michigan. Now, they were only teammates for 1 year, okay? Spytek played for the Wolverines from 1999 to 02. 1 year with Tom Brady. It was Brady's final year with the Wolverines. Also, though, Spytek wrote a book called A Wolverine Life, John Spytek. Why is that important? When you go through and you listen to a lot of the things that Tom Brady says of why he believes he was a successful NFL quarterback and why he was so good and for so long, it's very similar to the thought process of A Wolverine Life, where you got to learn a program, you learn how to be a player, and you all have this very similar mission. If you haven't checked it out, quite frankly, I think I'm going to grab this book and I'm going to go read it. So you got the Michigan teammates. They've been friends for 25 years on top of that. But what's the biggest reason why this is happening? It's past success. Every time that we talk about a new head coach, every time we talk about a new GM, I want past success. And I don't want to hear the past success that we got told to us with McDaniels and with Ziegler. Oh, they had all the success in New England. Great. Okay, there was one big part of that missing. It was actually Tom Brady. Now, Tom Brady said, all right, well, let's just do exactly what we did in Tampa Bay. Let's have a lot of the same ideas, and let's try to bring that back down here to the silver and black. So they had success in Tampa. They won a Super Bowl together. That sounds like something that I'm on board for here for the Las Vegas. And then the last thing is this. He fits the Jed Hughes GM criteria. For those of you that don't know, who is Jed Hughes? I put out a video. It's got almost 100,000 views on YouTube. But here's what Jed Hughes looks for in a GM or a head coach candidate, and the Raiders brought in Hughes to hire a GM. We looked at teams that have won championships in major professional sports leagues in the last 5 years, and almost all of them have done it with a first-time GM, which is pretty incredible. I should also mention, this quote's from 2016. The other thing is stability. Max Crosby's been harping on stability, has he not? Look what has happened with the Mets. The Mets hired Sandy Alderson. He hired the coach, Fred Wilpon, has supported him, and then they've been able to build a team that is now competitive. I'm a Mets fan, and I can remember some bad years. That's when the Mets finally started to get it turned around. Unfortunately, lost to the Royals in a World Series. Again, keep it moving. You had alignment. You had stability. People brought into the philosophy, and Sandy is one of the truly great leaders as it relates to collaboration and bringing people into meetings and having lunch bucket kinds of meetings. Most organizations are not built on developing people within their organizations. They are built to try to win immediately. That last sentence there, those last two sentences there, is everything that the Raiders and Mark Davis have tried to do. They don't try to develop people. They try to fix everything and win immediately, and they don't do it the right way. The Raiders are doing it the right way this offseason. They're bringing in Brady. They're bringing in Spytek. They're going to give this regime time to be able to develop. But it's also what the Buccaneers did with Spytek. They brought him in from 2016. We see how quick NFL turnover is, right? Especially when you're changing head coaches, and Tampa Bay changed a lot of head coaches. When you see somebody stay, and you see that person stay with that regime for that long, despite all that turnover, it means he's really flipping good at his job. And John Spytek is a first-time GM, but he comes with 2 years of assistant GM experience, working underneath one of the best GMs in the NFL, and Jason Litch. I love this hire. He's already shown that he's got alignment with Tom Brady. He's already shown that he can work with Tom Brady, and Jed Hughes believes GMs are made and they are not born. So, as you can see, John Spytek has slowly made himself into a very good general manager candidate, and all of those reasons is why I'm excited. He's been with the team since 2016, the 5th most playoff victory since 2016, and then it goes with Max Crosby. Max Crosby, I know we're going to get a lot of questions about him, but stability is something Max harps. John Spytek, stability. Tom Brady, stability. What the Raiders did in hiring John Spytek, I think is going to make Max Crosby, and I think it's going to make a lot of Raiders fans a very, very happy individual. For those that don't know, you can always hit me up on IG. You can always hit me up on Twitter. Hell, right now we got close to 3,500 people watching this live on YouTube. If you're not watching this live on YouTube, if you see it somewhere else, I'm going to be here. Right here, and we're going to be partying, we're going to be rocking, because if you're not excited about the Raiders hiring John Spytek, I think it's personally because you don't know much about him. But this is a slam dunk hire by the Silver and Black. This is the best candidate they could have gone out. They didn't look for the big name like they usually do. They went out with the plan, and they stuck to that plan, and they did it. John Spytek, welcome to the nation. I would love to get you on the Raiders Report. We'll be in contact soon. All right, man, let's rally the confidence level and what Tom Brady is doing so far. Scale it from 1 to 10. 1, not confident at all. 10, you're feeling great.
It's got to be, I think it's got to be more than a 5, less than a 9, in my opinion.
I agree.
You didn't get Ben Johnson, your first guy, but then you did get your first, I would say Spytek was his first GM choice.
No doubt.
And Spytek has interviewed other places to be their GM as well.
Yep.
So you got your number 1 GM. You didn't get your number 1 head coach. So I think it's got to be somewhere between that 5 and 9. Somewhere maybe, for me, maybe like a 7.5, 8.
Yep.
I don't know how you're feeling about it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm at as well. And, you know, don't get me wrong. I wanted Ben Johnson and John Spytek. Like, I thought that would have been a beautiful duo, real talk. But I do wonder if Johnson just wanted to work with somebody else, and obviously the quarterback situation is a big part of that. But what's the Raiders' biggest problem? QB, right? The Raiders' biggest problem right now is finding a quarterback. And Spytek has been a part of an organization that was able to find a quarterback in terms of a veteran, like a Tom Brady, somebody that was older, somebody that, you know, maybe people thought was washed up. People thought that he was done. Like, I would look at names now, potentially, I'm not saying I would bring him in, you know, names like a Kirk Cousins, names like an Aaron Rodgers, and have a little bit more confidence that Spytek, because he's done it in the past, can get those guys to play a little bit better. I could also say, though, you could look at a name like Sam Darnold, a name like Justin Fields, a name like Russell Wilson.
Look what Spytek and
did
the
for
Bucs
Baker.
Did with Baker. He was playing practice squad safety for the Carolina Panthers and was the Rams' 4th quarterback on the roster, had to come in emergency services for the Rams before going to the Bucs.
Also, look at what Tampa Bay did. Who's the only team to beat Patrick Mahomes in a Super Bowl? It's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And they're going to go out and they're going to try to add edge rushers. They're going to try to go out and add people to get after the quarterback, which is exactly what I want. But the other thing that Tampa really believes, and the other thing that Spytek really believes, is how important it is to build an offensive line. And I know that the Bucs had a lot of injuries this season, but that is an organization that has done everything in their power to ensure that they have one of the better offensive lines in the league. Now, they've lost some key pieces, again, due to some injuries, but like the way that I think and how important it is to build a roster, Spytek thinks very similar to that. And then I'll also say this one, because they got Mike Evans, they got Chris Godwin, they have unbelievable skill position players. Look how Tampa Bay used Cade Otton, their tight end, when those guys went down. They're going to use Brock Bowers in the right way, and I can't wait to see who they bring in. And then also, I love this. I just saw this tweet. This guy's from my guy, Raider Scout, and him and I, again, it's another guy that I always think very similar with him. He just put out a tweet, and I love it. Since joining the Buccaneers in 2016, John Spytek and the team have drafted O.J. Howard, Chris Godwin, Vita Vea, Alex Kapka, Jordan Whitehead, Carlton Davis, Sean Murphy-Bunting, Jamal Dean, Mike Edwards, Matt Gay, Tristan Wirfs, Antoine Winfield Jr., Logan Hall, Luke Gadecki, Rashad White, Bucky Irvin, Cade Otton, Zion McCollum, Kalijah Cansey, Cody Mock, Yaya Dabadi, Trey Palmer, Graham Barton. That's unbelievable names, and that's a lot of talent. Why? Because he knows what he's doing from a drafting, free agency standpoint. This is an outstanding hire. Pete Carroll also, I'm sorry, I didn't go to that one. That's on me. I was on that one for a while. Pete Carroll as a bridge, then Marcus Freeman from Notre Dame after. Marcus Freeman's not going to leave Notre Dame because I think Notre Dame's job is a better job than the Raiders' job. But also, let's be honest with ourselves. Marcus Freeman was bad in that natty. Like, he was full-on panicking. He was doing some things that I think an old coach of ours would have done from last year. Let's go to Gary. Can you explain what makes Spytek a grade A signing and then comparing other GMs to B through F grade signings? I think we just did it. Okay, it was before the cut. Yeah, Gary, I think after everything I did now, you feel a little bit better. I know you're one of our OG watchers, and I think I went through able to go through all those reasons and tell you why this is a A-plus slam dunk hire here by the Raiders. Suave, question flowing. Okay, is it normal if it itches? I think it just depends where you're itching there, Noah. The most annoying itch of all time, and I had this the other day when I was walking Chuck, you ever get that itch, and let's just be honest, it's like in your butthole. No? You don't ever get like a weird itch and you're like, I can't pick my ass, I can't scratch my butt because I'm out in public, but you're still walking and you're doing your thing? You've never had that. Your butthole in your entire life has never itched. All right, apparently I got an itchy butthole. What up, Herman? If LV doesn't get a quarterback in the draft, free agency, or trade, then who would you draft in the first round come April? I mean, though you said if we don't get a quarterback in the draft. Shedeur Sanders is going to be the name that I would say is the top candidate right now. And I say that because if Tom Brady's going to hire John Spytek, and if Tom Brady's the one calling the shots, well then Tom Brady's going to want Shedeur, and Dion wants Shedeur to go to the Las Vegas Raiders. Again, I mean, it could totally change. If Todd Monken ends up becoming the head coach, I'm a lot more interested in a guy like Jalen Milroe. Like, if it just depends now what we do at head coach and OC, and then I think that's when we can start talking about some of the quarterbacks. What up, Jay Reezy? You think Johnson would have been the Raiders coach if we would have maintained the first overall pick instead of winning meaningless games? There's definitely a possibility, right? Like, I think Ben Johnson took the interview because he did want to try to gain more leverage, and when you just see a lot of the reports coming out, it does sound like that they use the Raiders more as leverage. I'll also say this, and I had a really good source tell me this who's in Chicago, and, you know, this is one of those things that we don't really think of all that often. I was told that Ben Johnson's wife did not want to move to Las Vegas. They have 3 young kids, and they thought Chicago, where they were at, was going to be a better and easy transition for their family, because I'm pretty sure Johnson took $13 million, which is less than what the Raiders were willing to offer him. So I only think that having the number 1 overall pick would have helped Johnson. But even that being said, Caleb Williams is a better quarterback prospect than any guy coming out in this year's draft, and that's coming from me who loves Cam Ward. And I think that they would have ended up taking Shedeur. Like, that could have been the other reason. What if they would have said, I want Cam, but Brady's saying, I want Shedeur? You don't know a lot of things that happen behind. But to say that it wouldn't have helped, I think is foolish. Let's go to Raiders Smoke 89. Not saying that you said that. Appreciate you, Mitch. Been rocking with you for years. Something tells me we're going all for Shedeur. Trust the process, nation. In TB, we trust. And I know that there was panic, right? And I panicked as well when the Raiders missed out on Johnson. We all did. And I think it was just one of those things that we all thought it was never going to happen. And then we all slowly started getting hope of being like, holy shit, we might get Ben Johnson. Like, to me, Ben Johnson was Santa Claus. And if you got a kid in the room, maybe this is not the time to have him watch the show. But, like, you know, you're growing up and you're like, Santa Claus, it's Christmas time. He's coming to town. And then you all realize, oh, it was just a dream, right? Like, then you realize Santa. It's a little bit different. That's how I look at Ben Johnson. That's how I look at Ben Johnson at this point. You just got to trust the process. I hear you. Nico, first is Cliff Kingsbury. Second is Monken. Third is Pete. My concern with Cliff Kingsbury is I think some people are built to be OCs. Are they built to be head coaches? Because Cliff, I think, is a brilliant offensive mind. No doubt about it. But then also when you see what Cliff tried to do in Arizona, I'll be real, Cliff with Tom Brady and Spytek, I think is a recipe for success. but I would be a little bit nervous about Cliff Kingsbury. I'm not going to lie to y'all. But I agree with you where if the Raiders were interested in Ben Johnson, why are we not interested in Cliff Kingsbury? Why are we not interested in Liam Cohn? Why are we not interested in a young offensive mind like a Joe Brady? Because to me, if you wanted a young offensive mind like Ben Johnson, well, let's go hire some other young offensive minds as well. I do find it weird that it's Ben Johnson or Pete Carroll, right? That's like saying, I don't know, I'm a vegetarian, but some days I love steak. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So that makes me more nervous. Booger from ESPN likes it. Oh, yeah, it scares me. I think Booger's got about the brain cells of his first name. I don't know. I don't think he's a good football mind. But, hey, he's got a job. Give credit to him. Jersey boy, Spytek, Monken, Willie Taggart. Wow, Willie Taggart's name being brought up. Robert Saleh, draft Ashton Genty, Jalen Milroe, and Tate Ratledge. Run game would be nasty. Yeah, it's the guard from Georgia. I'll tell you this, right? And one of the reasons why I talked about Monken, and I talked about him yesterday, and kind of give you a little bit of a spoiler alert. You're going to see a short / video that goes out on my Instagram and Twitter tomorrow at Mitchell Renz 365. But look at what Monken did at Georgia. That offense has been worse since Monken has left. We can all agree with that. Then look at what Lamar Jackson has looked like in the past 2 seasons. Remember in 2022 when I stood up here on this show and I was like, if I was the Raiders, I would try to do everything in my power to get Lamar Jackson because quarterbacks like that don't hit the open market. Everyone told me he's washed, he's not good anymore, he's injured, blah, 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 blah. Look what Monken's been able to do with Lamar Jackson and turn that career around. But also, I would look at what the Raiders have. Monken's going to be one of those offensive-minded guys that he's going to want to run a tough mother effing offense. You know what I mean? A physical attack where you're going to feel them for 4 quarters. You're going to feel them for 17 games. It's what they did at Georgia. It's what they're doing right now with Baltimore. And when you look at the pieces that the Raiders have on offense, Monken legitimately, based on what the Raiders have right now, there's not a better head coach candidate out there. Look at what Monken did with Brock Bowers in Georgia. Literally was a dog. Look at the offensive line. Jackson Powers-Johnson, what fits him best is a power type of scheme, fits with Monken. Jacoby Myers is a wide receiver that's not afraid to block. If you believe, and the Raiders going out and maybe not getting that quarterback early, but you can get a guy like Jalen Milroe, who I think deserves a look because he had to lose Nick Saban, gets a brand new guy. That's a tough transition to make. But if you're able to get a great running back like Ashton Genty, there's other great running backs in this year's draft, and I'm not usually a big believer in taking an RB in round 1. If the Raiders go out and hire Todd Monken and they do exactly what you're saying here, I'm going to be fired up about this Raider season, no doubt about it. Let's go to Sanchez. Odds that Baker comes to the nation now. A big old fat 0. There is a 0% chance Baker Mayfield's coming to the Las Vegas Raiders. Drew, hate to be the guy. Could DC be a revitalized vet? You just mean Robert Saleh? Is that what you mean? I mean,
he's saying, like, could DC be that veteran quarterback?
Holy shit, no. We don't want Derek Carr. Like, at this point, Sam Darnold's a better option than Derek Carr. I don't know how we always get back to it, but I've never met a fan base that loves old names more than the Raiders. I'm going to bet my house that we get a John Gruden question today. What's up, Rich? Tampa Bay Raiderneers better than New England Patriots. Yeah, you're not wrong. That's a good one.
I mean,
Tom Brady. Hey, TB, Tampa Bay. John Spytek.
Wait.
Spygate.
What's the difference between a Raider and a Buccaneer?
I don't know.
Like, are those the same?
I thought you had a joke loaded up.
No, I'm saying, like, are those the exact same thing? Like,
I was gonna say that's the worst joke I've ever heard. No, you're not wrong. Like, Tom Brady was probably like, they were shooting cannons and a Buccaneer is an eye patch. So let's just bring John Spytek down to Las Vegas.
oh, yep, Raiders pillage for fun.
See, there you go.
That makes sense.
There you go. I think now what we need is we got to bring in we can't bring in like the exact same ship they have in Tampa.
Maybe tinfoil hat after Gruden left the Raiders the first time to go to Tampa Bay, it sent a curse on the Raiders. Now the Raiders are reversing that by taking away from Tampa Bay.
I like this.
So the curse has been lifted. No longer Tampa Bay the winners. Now it's back to the Raiders being the Pirates that are on top.
If that's true, Baker Mayfield's going to have a bad year. And people are going to come back to this stream and be like, this Suggs guy's on to something.
It's kind of like Pirates of the Caribbean. It's like some Davy Jones locker stuff.
Oh, yeah. We might have to get a chest and get a heart. It's not a bad idea.
I'm down.
Let's go to George. It's been a minute since I supercharged. Haven't had the funds. I'm happy with the GM hire, but not sold on Pete. Who else do you think would be better? George, I hope that picture is not you in terms of age. I hope it's your kid. If it's just a random kid, that's worse.
It's been a rough year at daycare. Have not been getting my mushy peas.
I've been sucking my thumb a lot, but I wanted to pull up here.
The teat's running dry.
Who else, not sold on Pete, who else do you think would be better? I'm not sold on just Pete. What people need to be sold on is the idea of what Pete would also bring in. Now, I'll admit, the fact that Liam Cohen is not going to be taking that other interview today with the Jags, that means the next two interviews for the Jags job are Patrick Graham and Robert Saleh. The reason why I think people should be excited about Pete Carroll is because, again, we are building an overall staff. And Pete Carroll by himself makes me nervous. If Pete Carroll and the Raiders are able to execute the plan that I think they're trying to do, where you bring in Carroll, you bring in Robert Saleh for DC, you bring in Mike LaFleur for OC or an offensive coordinator that has some past experience, and then when Pete, who's 73, gonna be 74 at the beginning of the year, is like, maybe I'm too old to do this, decides to hang it up, and then you're gonna bring in one of those other two guys. Here's another name, though, and I want people to think of this name. And it's a name that I talked about, 2 weeks ago in my original Raiders head coaching candidates video, Bruce Arians. And I bring Bruce Arians up because Arians did retire. He retired. He's 72. I will admit, Bruce Arians, 72, I think is older than Pete Carroll, 73, about to be 74. But Arians right now is doing the exact same role in Tampa Bay that Pete Carroll did in Seattle. Like, they're both advisors. You know what I'm saying?
So, Mitch,
Brady and Arians did kind of butt heads at the end.
I want to ask you something.
I'm listening.
Because yesterday I was, not arguably a sad stream, right? It was a sad live stream. Not happy, It was Ben Johnson and the Bears.
It was a pee in the cold. A sad stream.
Today, this should be a happy live stream. The Raiders got their guy. The Raiders got better today with this move. So because of that, I didn't do it yesterday. Can we do a duck race?
All right, I'm down to duck around. $20 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365. Let's give away some money today. You guys down to give a little bit of money? If you're trying to get in for a chance to win, add me as a friend, scan that QR code.
This is a win.
And let's frickin' run it.
This is a win.
Is there I think there's a pirate race.
There is.
We got to do it.
Pirate race it is.
Unless there's a spy race, which I don't think that there is. But I've been waiting for somebody to bang so that way I could bring out something, but I don't know if it's ever going to happen. It'd be pretty cool if it did, though. We still got a lot of super chats to go through, and I saw some people, did you skip mine? We didn't skip it. It was just a long list. So here's what I want you to do.
You got Skippy.
Hashtag Raiders is like waiting in a long Disney line. If you want to get that fast pass, send in a super, and we'll get you to the front of the line.
Also,
I'm listening.
Cullen's sending you the link so you can tweet it out real quick.
Absolutely love my guy, Cullen.
Cullenoli.
Right. I just got it. So hang on. Can you just hold it down for a second?
Colonoscopy. Let's go. Let me know down in the chat. Who do you think will be the next head coach for the Las Vegas Raiders? How about this? Not who you want, but if you had to put a prediction, if you had to put some money down right now, who do you think it's going to be? Because I know there's a lot of people saying Todd Monken. I know Mitch said Todd Monken. I don't know.
That's the guy I want.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the guy the Raiders end up getting. I don't think he's a top 3 likely candidate. I know Mitch and a lot of people in the chat want him. I want you to answer this of who do you think it's going to be? I see a lot of Pete Carrolls. I see some Todd Monkins. I see Carroll or Sanders, Sanders or Carroll. Liam Cohen, I don't think it's Liam Cohen. He just re-upped his deal with the Bucs and said he's staying as the OC. Yeah, Rinex Hataki, I agree. I don't think it's him. LeBron James, Urban Meyer, that would be awful. Cliff Kingsbury, give me Iguodala.
LeBron James.
John Gruden, Tom Cruise, Fat Mike, Salah, Dion, LeBron, Getzy.
I will say this. I don't think it's
McCarthy.
I don't think it's impossible that LeBron James is a minority owner of the Raiders in the next 5 years. Because LeBron's trying to get a basketball team in Las Vegas. Now, I know there's a lot of other stuff going on because now there's like a new league and they're trying to like get LeBron to go to it. But there's been a lot of talks in Vegas.
What do you mean a new league?
I think I saw that there's like a European league. They're trying to like get LeBron to like go over to like this whole new league and like get him out of the NBA. I saw like a random story. Is that fake?
That's not
real.
To happen. Yeah.
But I do know that I saw it pop up.
That's like the German football league being like, we're gonna get Peyton Manning to quarterback.
I mean, if they pay him $1 billion, they've said they already raised $5 billion.
$5 billion.
They've raised $5 billion to do it. If you gave LeBron James $1 billion to go play in that league to get it started, I think LeBron might do it. I would do it.
The thing is, I don't know, and as shitty as this sounds,
wow, this is big. The Jags have fired Trent Baalke. I'll tell you what, this is going to change a lot of things now. There were some rumors, there was some speculation, and I mean, it's something that I've said multiple times that teams don't want to go and they don't want to work with Trent Baalke. There's been a lot of people that said he's been terrible. That makes that Jags job a lot more appealing now. That makes that is more competition now for the Las Vegas Raiders after the Jags just fired Trent Baalke, which they should have done 2 or 3 years ago. I almost wonder now if Liam Cohen reconsiders. Like, I know, like, Cohen locked in a long-term deal today in Tampa, and I know that. But I think what happened is Jacksonville got some news, and they were like, we're not going to be able to get our guy if we keep Baalke.
I think that means I don't think that means Cohen. I think that means Salah is going to the Jags. Because I think Salah's interview is coming up on Friday.
See, here's what I would say. You're right. I almost wonder if there's about to be a new name, like a Joe Brady. Like a name that, because they have the interview with PG for Thursday.
Bobby Slowick.
They got an interview, could be, an interview on Friday. They clearly wanted Liam Cohen. Like, for them to move on from Baalke after missing out on Cohen, this is just me taking a guess, tells me that they wanted a young, offensive-minded head coach, and it makes a lot of sense. They just gave Trevor Lawrence a boatload of money. PG's a defensive mind. Robert Saleh's a defensive mind. I think that there's about to be a new name. Again, that's just speculation.
John Gruden.
But
he likes Florida. He's a big Florida guy.
Dude, that would be the most Jags Gruden hire of all time. I love it. That way I'll stop getting questions about it.
Dude, John Gruden in Jacksonville?
It's interesting.
Do we hate that?
Kinda. I mean, I would, but I'm just saying because they did it today.
Gruden loves.
There's something going on there in Jacksonville.
Gruden loves Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure a bunch of people probably love Trevor Lawrence, but at the same time, I don't think that he's actually like Trevor Lawrence isn't a top 15 quarterback. Like, I wouldn't want to go to the Jags because I'd have to deal with that Trevor Lawrence contract.
Yeah.
That's going to be a contract that kind of hurts them a little bit. Mitch, I'm 51 and have plenty of itchy butthole situations in my time. Not fun. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Also, this one's coming in from Josh I. Bang! I don't even know what just happened. It's John Spytek time. I got my Jedi Spidey jersey on. Let's freaking go, Josh I. Come on. Come on, Josh I. Just wanted to bang. Josh I coming in with a bang. Let's freaking go, man. I'll be honest, I don't know how to turn off my lightsaber. I think we got it. I think we got it. Shout out to today's MVP so far, Josh I.
James, who do you think is going to be our next head coach without a doubt in your mind? I don't think that's possible, James, to have it without a doubt. Like, we don't know.
I hate you don't follow the Raiders very closely then. Like, there's never been a without a doubt in the mind.
Except for Ben Johnson.
Except for BJ. What up, Cowboy? Byron Leftwich for OC and head coach. Just a thought.
I think more likely an OC.
Leftwich has been out of the league since 2022. And
also, wasn't he fired as the OC maybe the last year of Brady?
Yeah. I believe he was let go in 2022. You know, that could be another name that the Jags try to bring in. So I don't know if y'all remember this, but Byron Leftwich was going to take the job for Jacksonville last year. And then at the very last moment, decided to not do it because of Trent Baalke. And because Trent Baalke's not there anymore, I almost wonder if they try to go back because they would have hired Leftwich last year. Again, Leftwich, if you guys remember, played a long, long time in Jacksonville. But he didn't take that job because he didn't want to work with Baalke. Jacksonville panicked, hired Doug Peterson. Byron Leftwich now is a name that I think you got to consider. But to me, Leftwich would be the OC. He wouldn't be the head coach. But even that, like, if you're trying to stretch the ball down the field and you want to sling the pill, that's kind of what Byron Leftwich would want to bring. What's up, Brooks? Crazy idea. Pete coach equals head coach. Dion equals bridge. OC Shador equals quarterback. The only reason why this won't happen is because Dion's not going to not be the guy. And I think that this also does exact opposite of what the Raiders are trying to do in terms of stability, because this would be the situation of there's just too many cooks in the kitchen.
Statement from Jags owner Shad Khan.
Yep.
Following several discussions with Trent Baalke this week, we both arrived at the conclusion that it is in our mutual best interest to respectfully separate effective immediately. It's never respective when you say effective immediately. That means you kicked his ass out.
I mean, let's be honest.
Trent leaves us with my deepest appreciation for his efforts over the past 5 years. Ethan Waugh will serve as the interim general manager and play an important role with others as we continue the process of interviewing candidates to serve as our new head coach. I am deeply committed to building a winner here in Jacksonville, and I look forward to introducing a new head coach who will make that happen for our players and fans alike. So I think he said, you know what, nobody wants Baalke. The only way we're getting a head coach that wants to be here is if we let that head coach bring in a GM. I think that's what it says, because he said this Ethan Waugh guy is going to be an interim GM for them, so that means he's not going to be I don't think he's going to be the GM going into the season. I think they're saying, hey, maybe this will make us a little bit more attractive, put some makeup on this pig, and say, you get to pick your GM if you're the head coach of the Jaguars, which a lot of people will find very attractive.
Oh, man, dude. So this is incredible. Though I don't know if I'm allowed to read this message. I'm just going to shout you out in the chat here, Jaime. Jaime Reese, am I allowed to read the message you sent me? Y for yes and for no. I don't know if you're here, Jaime. Let me know if I'm allowed to read the message that you sent me on Venmo, because I don't know what it is, but here's what I do know. This one's rolling in from Jaime Reese. Bang!
He says yes.
Also, it's with an S, so that's on me, Jaime. That's on Chugs.
Oh, wait, did you send it to me with an S?
Yes. It's all good, though. So here's what Jaime Reese said. Bought the engagement ring yesterday. Spytek today. Shaping up to be a great few days. Let's bang. Dude, Jaime, congrats, dude. If y'all don't spam congrats down to Jaime, I'm going to block you on the channel. Real talk. Congratulations to you. Here's what I will say, though. You got to put a ring on it, because what I don't want to happen to you is what happened last year with the Raiders and Cliff Kingsbury, because I don't want you to see Cliff with the person that you wanted also, and Jaden. That I wouldn't wish on anybody.
My wife's now with the Washington Commanders.
That's kind of funny, actually. I'm not going to lie.
Brandon.
What's up, B-Rape? Juice 89. Joshua. All spam and congrats down below to Jaime Reese.
Gavin says, Herzlichen Glückwunsch.
What?
I think it's German.
Yeah, that means good luck.
Herzlichen Glückwunsch.
Herzlichen Glück. Technically, Glückwunsch.
Glückwunsch.
Their W's are double V's.
Double V's.
It's a double V. That's why Dirk Nowitzki. It's Nowitzki and not Nowitzki. Brandon, 1 draft, best player available. 2 draft, Jonas Savania. That's the offensive lineman from Arizona. I can never pronounce his name right, and you definitely didn't spell it right. Or another mean guard. 3, draft Will Howard. I know Will Howard just won a national championship, but Will Howard's not going to be a good NFL quarterback. He's a good college quarterback. He's just on a team that's got the most talented roster in college football on the offensive side of the ball.
They also spent the most by far in NIL.
I'm happy for Will Howard. I really, truly am. But he's not good enough to get it done in the NFL. At least not yet. Maybe you could.
William
maybe
Blair.
change.
How about Khalil Mack coming back?
So Mack did announce today.
Return to the Mack.
That he's going to return to the NFL. And he wants to play another season. He's going to be an NFL free agent. My question to you is this, William. The Raiders are going to have to pay Max Crosby this offseason a minimum of $30 million per year. I know the Raiders have $109 million in salary cap space, and that number is going to go up, when they move on from a guy like Minshew. There's going to be a lot of stuff happening there. But then also, and here's why I say, here we go.
I'd rather have Kuntz.
You got 27 free agents, one of which is Malcolm Kuntz. Would you rather, A, pay Malcolm Kuntz, let's say $10 to $12 million per year, or you want to pay Khalil Mack double that price tag?
How about this?
When you already know you got to pay Max Crosby, like I said.
How about this?
Minimum $30 a year.
Would you rather have Spillane, Kuntz, and Merrig, or Malcolm or Khalil Mack? Those 3 guys are Khalil Mack.
Yeah. I would rather Robert Spillane, Trevon Merrig,
Malcolm Kuntz,
Adam Butler, Malcolm Kuntz. I bet you that's just a little bit more expensive than what it would cost around to get Mack. But, let's not get it twisted. If I got a notification that said the Raiders have signed Khalil Mack, the live show we would do here would move mountains, and I would go ballistic because the very first time that this show started to get popular, and this is before we ever created a YouTube channel. This is before 2018. I was making Facebook videos, and we were not afraid to talk rumors, and we were talking about John Gruden trading Khalil Mack. And, the shit that I was getting called back then, which I don't blame people. Nobody knew who I was, and I still get called some of that stuff, right? But for Khalil Mack to be able to come back, I think that would be a really fun story to cover. And I think that Raider Nation deserves it, quite frankly. But if I'm building a roster, I don't think it makes sense based on what we already have to do this offseason. Let's go to Lat Savage. The difference between a Raider and a Buccaneer. We was here first. OG Pirates. Let's go. Raiders. Miggy. Cheers, Mitch and Chugs into the chat. Love the hire. Let's get Liam Cohen for head coach and Saleh as DC. Now, again, Liam Cohen, from what I understand, is now not and this is why the NFL is interesting. Liam Cohen was scheduled to interview with the Jags today. And he said, I'm good. I'm going to stick in Tampa Bay. And they gave him, according to reports, a significant raise. Now, though, technically, unless Liam Cohen has already signed that contract, and I don't know if he already has, if you're the Jags, now you pick up the phone and you try to get Liam there and say, all right, head coach, it's yours, and you can bring in whoever you want to be the GM. I would say at this point, us getting Liam Cohen is probably a little bit less of a likely chance. But, Miggy, I agree, where if I was the Raiders and you went out and hired John Spytek, I think you at least pick up the phone and you give Liam Cohen a call and saying, hey, I know everything happened, but what do I got to do to get you here to Vegas? What do I got to do? I think that conversation does need to be had. Let's go to Free Morian. A-plus hire. So excited to see the pairing that Spytek and Brady bring in as a head coach, OC, and potentially DC. Fired up for the rest of this offseason. If we get Pete and bring in good coordinators, that's sick. And I think that that's the important thing here for Raiders fans, where it's not just about the head coach. It's also very important what you do from your coordinator standpoint, and bringing in a great DC to replace Patrick Graham, bringing in a great OC to replace all the shit that we've had before. All of those hires are very important. And if you were able to get a Liam Cohen and a guy like Robert Saleh, that's a slam dunk. I don't think Saleh takes that gig. To me, the only way Saleh takes our DC gig is if he knows that he has a succession plan to take over for Pete Carroll in a year or two. And I would say it'd be very similar to what the Patriots did with Gerard Mayo. Yeah, that one didn't work out, though. Let's go to Cowboy. Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson reunion in Las Vegas. I know this is a terrible idea. And I don't know if it is a terrible idea. Like, Russell Wilson is an upgrade over Aiden O'Connell. And if you don't think that Russell Wilson is a better quarterback than Aiden, it is what it is, right? Like, let's just be honest. And to me, you got to be able to improve in every way possible in the offseason. Do I think that there's better options than Russ Wilson? Yes, I do. Do I also think that depending on who that OC is really impacts what the Wilson offense looks like? Yes, I do. But like at the same time, there's going to be reports around this. There's going to be connections. I think another name that, you know, if we get Pete Carroll, and Chug said this, I think it was last week, the Seahawks, a lot of reports around them wanting to trade DK Metcalf. Metcalf and Pete Carroll have a great relationship. And I think DK would be a phenomenal fit in Las Vegas.
Do the Raiders need a wide receiver?
Yes and no. Like, yes and no. Huh?
They do.
Yes and no. Like, again, is it the top priority?
You have one legit receiver, and that's Jacoby.
Brock, Michael, but...
tight ends.
Yep.
Yes, you could say receiver. I'm saying wide receiver position. You have one legit guy.
Yep.
The rest could...
Oh, DK Metcalf and,
the rest
and a Raiders jersey is honestly, again, if we're looking at the talent we already have, I think it's a perfect fit.
I think...
Deep field stretcher.
Sorry, Trey Tucker is not up there. The only receiver I'm comfortable taking into next year, of course, they're probably going to have Trey Tucker and other guys still on the roster. Yeah. The only guy I care about on the Raiders at the wide receiver spot right now, Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, I mean, Trey Tucker's probably he's probably a top 90 receiver in the NFL.
I mean, on skill, based on actual production, like...
No, based on actual production. No, of course not.
Like, I don't think...
I'm saying top 90...
I don't know. I don't even know if on skill he's that.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the speed, but that's really all he has. He's got speed, good acceleration, is a deep threat. Seth says, really? Yeah, I mean, again, Trey Tucker, we like Trey Tucker because he's a Raider, but in the grand, scheme of things, I'm trying to think of another wide receiver that, Trey Tucker is, he's not a number 3 receiver, I would say, on most NFL teams out there. At least not good NFL teams. You know what I'm saying? I would say he's probably a lesser version of a Curtis Samuel.
So I know that's not the actual Patrick Seatman, but that's hilarious.
What does it say? Sell the team? It might be. That could be one of his other Twitter accounts.
There's a guy who's been going around all the Chat Sports Lives making.
Yeah. I respect it. I kind of like it. I'm not going to lie to you. Also, somebody asked Mitch, what's the duck race at? You know what? I'm glad you asked. Rosario, you in? Jaime, I'm going to put you in. And then Charles G, you are in. So as it stands right now, it is a $20 Venmo. You would go home with $100 here on the Raiders Report. And we're going to do this at the very end of the show.
Is that the only way you can make money on this show?
No. I guess you could use Prize Picks, which I'm glad you brought it up. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Make sure that you use code CLNS, America's #1 fantasy sports app out there. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. With my picks, I can get it as quick as 15 minutes. Also, I don't know if you guys know this, but the big game, it is right around the corner. And Prize Picks is going to do certain deals like as you can see on screen right here, Jaden Daniels is going to throw more than half of a passing yard. If you were like, oh, I like that A.J. Brown touchdown, you could go Jaden Daniels more, and then they're basically giving you that one. Terry McLaurin touchdown, A.J. Brown touchdown is the lineup that Chugs and I are rolling with in that NFC Championship game. But I'm telling you this right now, if you plan on watching this game, and I think all of y'all are going to end up watching this game, put in a lineup. Put $5 in, even if it's a chance to win $15. You're going to be locked in, and you're going to be having a great time, even if the game's a blowout. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to be going, all I care about is one of those guys getting a touchdown. All I care about is that player getting the passing yards that I need on the more. All I care about is the receiving targets. All I care about is the rushing yards in the first 5 rushing attempts. I love Prize Picks, and I think you guys will too. So real quick here, one more time. Shout out to Prize Picks, and download the app today. Use code CLNS. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Sign up today and get $50 instantly. When you play $5, you don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run yo game. Let's go to Suavemente. Give me Iguodala is underrated. Hilarious. Give me Iguodala. George. That's my kid, bro. No, I'm glad. All I'm saying is that the people are saying we should bring in Pete because of the all-time success we had in Seattle. But as we learn, that won't necessarily be the case now. You're right. And I think that, and I'm hoping the Raiders learn from their past mistakes. And you can't just, oh, it worked there. Now we're going to bring it in here. I think it's about continuity. I think it's about stability. And if Spytek and Brady and everything that they have is aligned with what Pete Carroll's going to do, and Pete Carroll's going to be able to bring in that OC and DC, I'm on board with it. But it's got to be all the same plan. That's what the Raiders need. Suave, got my yarmulke. How do you keep it on, Chugs? A hair clip? Yeah, if you guys haven't got your yarmulke yet, I'm worried it might have got lost in the mail.
You got to get a hair clip. That's how you keep it on.
A hair clip?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So, Noah, there was a bunch of people that got some yarmulkes from Chugs from some of our holiday shows that we did. Let's go to Kevin. If we sign Dion, would we even have to take Sanders at 6? Could we just save it because everyone would know he's going to the Raiders? It's funny that you bring this up. There are some rumblings. There are right now, and I don't know how it would work, but I saw somebody talking about something that's got a lot of sources, and he was even throwing out the idea of, you're right, where the Raiders could draft Sanders late, and then they would give him like an already guaranteed 4-year contract. I don't know how it would work necessarily because I don't think that that's necessarily allowed because why they have the rules that they have now is because of like the whole Jamarcus Russell thing. I would imagine that the Raiders would still take take Shador at number 6. But if Dion's the head coach, it solves the Raiders' biggest problem. And it solves the quarterback issue right from the jump. Let's go to my man Can't Walk. Will Spytek re-sign defensive players? I think what you're going to see now is Spytek sit down with Champ Kelly, the Raiders' assistant general manager, and they're going to start to put a plan in place of these are certain guys that we want to be able to bring back. These are certain players that, we're not really interested in bringing back. This conversation, I will say, in terms of like them re-signing players, I want to say it could start almost immediately, but I don't know if it can start now. I think you have to wait to re-sign players. It's after the Super Bowl. There's like a grace period, but you're allowed to start making some moves. But yeah, Spytek's the GM. He's going to be calling a lot of the shots. Let's go to my man Patrick B. Mount Raider more. I know Pete Carroll is high on the list, but I think we will go with a first-time head coach. I think there could be a name we have not heard yet. And maybe you're right, Patrick. Again, I keep throwing out names there. Like, if we were interested in a young offensive-minded guy like Ben Johnson, why not Joe Brady? Why not Cliff Kingsbury? See, Bobby's name is way lower on that list, I think, just because of some of the struggles they've had. And I think the fact that you want the Raiders to hire Bobby Slovic tells me everything that I need to know. Let's go to Ventrac. Did y'all know Spytek is a line of toys from the 1990s? Well, I'm curious about this now.
Do you know what he also brings to the Raiders? I think he has a couple spy kids.
I mean, I'm looking at this right now. It's actually funny. I typed in Spytek toy, and the Raiders breaking news came up. All right, I'm looking at this. I can get this Spytek gift right now on eBay. And I think it's the only way that I can get it on eBay. I'm going to try to get this. That's interesting. I like it. Noah, top 3 DCs that you would keep Max happy. Patrick Graham, number 1, right? Question mark. I would imagine that he would want to keep the defensive staff. Though I would say the number 1 head coach that would make Max Crosby happy would be Deion Sanders. Max and the Sanders family go way, 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 way back. Like from Max when he was, 10, 9 years old. And I know if you want to keep Max happy, I think legitimately the top hire that you would bring in, if you're worried about Max, would be Deion Sanders. However, though, from what I understand, Max is staying out of it to the best of his ability because he's only going to worry about himself and he's only going to worry about his contract, and he wants to get paid first. And once he gets paid, then some other things might happen.
Mitch, quick question from F. Sam.
Okay.
F. Sam's in the chat. Thank you very much. I think the AFC West has a chance to make history next year. Once the Raiders go with their 3rd favorite head coach choice or whatever they're feeling, I think all 4 teams could make the playoffs next year.
Is that even possible? Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, all 3 wild card spots.
All 3 I mean, I'll tell you this right now.
There were definitely a few
as
takes.
Much as I hate all the other teams in the AFC West, I'd sign up for that in a heartbeat.
That'd be cool. Do you think that this speaks a lot to Ben Johnson's commitment to excellence or lack thereof? The fact that he didn't take the Raiders job.
I think he took the job because of quarterback. I think he took the job because his wife didn't want to move to Vegas.
But what happened to are the AOC Tom Brady comps? Are they just out the window now?
I mean, I don't even think Aiden O'Connell plays another snap for the Raiders. I had a bold prediction yesterday. Josh McDaniels got hired in New England, and I think McDaniels is going to try to trade for Aiden O'Connell this offseason.
Wow, Raider Nation's going to be pissed.
I mean, I think Aiden's a great backup, and I think Aiden's going to be a great backup, but I think it also depends who you bring in. New regimes, we see change all the time.
I'm rooting for it. I hope the Raiders find somebody, anybody to be the head coach at this point.
I don't know. I don't even know if I can believe you.
I heard the Cowboys, since the Cowboys were interviewing Jason Witten, maybe the Raiders want to get in on that too, interview a former player.
Brian Schottenheimer, I think, is going to be the next head coach of the Cowboys. It could be a lot worse here for the Raiders. Brandon, if you were GM, who would you draft in the first 3 rounds? I mean, again, it depends who our OC is. Like, if it was up to me right now, I would say, and that's the other. Chuck said it depends who you sign in free agency. If I had to put my plan together, to me, my plan would be I'm going to spend a shit ton of money on bringing back a lot of our players on defense, and I'm going to spend a shit ton of money on the offensive line, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to sign a quarterback like Justin Fields to $10 million who could be a potential bridge if we miss out on a guy like Shedeur Sanders. I say Shedeur because that's, to me, the guy that Tom Brady wants, so because that's going to be the type of team that they're going to build around, I'll say Shedeur. Then I will go best player available on the offensive line, and then best player available in round 3, best player available again with your other 3rd-round pick. John Michael, Monken with Milroe, Willis or Hooker, not bad. So you're saying Todd Monken with Jalen Milroe, and then go out and try to get a Hendon Hooker and Malik Willis? To me, I don't know why Monken would do well with those guys. I agree with that. If I was Malik Willis, if I was Hendon Hooker, if I was Jalen Milroe, if I was any type of mobile quarterback, Joe Milton, and you guys know I'm not the big fan of Joe Milton, why would you not want to go play with somebody like Monken that's had the success that he's had? Especially for mobile quarterbacks and especially for teams that want to be thumpers. You need a great offensive line if you're going to have Todd Monken. No doubt about it. I do got a few people that are getting here in this duck race. John Polito, Adrian Rodriguez. I see Galen Sharp. Hopefully I pronounced that right. And then Ron Raspberry, $20 Venmo right now for a chance to win $140. What? A Phil? Philip Smith. Phil, I don't know if I mentioned your name yet, but you are in this race. People in the race: Stephen Underwood, Steel Kid, Fluhey, Raymond, Philip Smith, Dungeon Fitness, Jason Goot, Rosario, Jaime Charles, John Polito, Adrian Rod, Galen Sharp, Ron Raspberry. Let's go to Caleb. Does Jack Jones get the boot now that AP is gone? I mean, quite frankly, I hope so. I think Jack Jones proved to be arguably our worst corner last season. He just gives up way, way, way too much, and he's been bad without Antonio Pierce. So if I'm being real with you, if the Raiders move on from Jack Jones, I'm not going to be upset whatsoever. From me, I guess, trade up to 2 so you can go get a quarterback. If the Raiders trade up to 2, I would want them to take Cam Ward. If the Raiders trade up, I would want that trade up to be for Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward is the better quarterback than Shedeur Sanders. But to me, I don't know if the Raiders will have to trade up to go get Shedeur. And I say that again because Shedeur wants to be a Raider. Dion wants Shedeur to be a Raider. And if Dion and Shedeur and all them say, hey, I want to go play with Tom Brady, I think that you could see an Eli Manning situation yet again. So I really don't think the Raiders are going to have to trade up. Let's go to Sanchez. Genuine question. What makes Patrick Graham so attractive? I feel like our defense was horrible this year. Almost every team played scored 20-plus points, and we barely had turnovers this year. Just curious.
He's got a great jawline and a body that don't stop.
So the Raiders were top 15 in almost every single defensive metric that you could possibly look at. So I don't really know where you're looking in terms of, stats, I guess. But Patrick Graham also was able to put this defense together with all the injuries that we had. This defense was slaughtered with injuries. I think the other thing that PG's been able to show you is that, yeah, he was able to get this team to do better. But think about how bad the Raiders defense was for years. And I mean years before Graham showed up. He's rocking a Paul Gunther design defense with players that were drafted by John Gruden and Mayock, Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler, Telesco and Antonio Pierce. That's 3 different regimes, 3 different style of players all being together in a melting pot in one spot and still putting a defense out there on the field that was one of the better defenses in the NFL. Last year, 2023, when the Raiders hired Antonio Pierce, AP got the job because of what Patrick Graham and that defense looked like. When Patrick Graham and AP took over, the Raiders went 5-4. The Raiders had the number 1 defense in the National Football League those final 9 games from a points per game perspective. When PG's had a healthy team, he's done a great job. He's a great teacher. He's a great leader. He was able to build a phenomenal staff. And all due respects, Nick, you saying this, and for anybody out there that thinks this thing, that's like you looking at me going and saying wheels are shaped like squares, that the world is flat. Quite frankly, I don't know how anybody can say what you're saying right now. Let's go to Alfredo, first-time GM. Does this mean we hire a coach with experience? Remember, Davis didn't want to hire a first-time GM last year because of Antonio Pierce. I think they're going to stick to their plan, and the Raiders are literally sticking to their Jed Hughes plan that they are cooking up with Tom Brady, that they're cooking up with the Raiders. I don't know if they're going to go with the first-year head coach. I don't know what the plan is. What the plan is going to be is that they're going to find somebody that thinks the exact same way on how to build a team as Spytek and Tom Brady, and then we'll go from there. Let's go to Arborough. What's up, my dude? Mitch, what is Champ Kelly standing with the organization? Is he staying as an assistant GM, or will Spytek bring in his own guy? Also, what about Byron Leftwich's OC head coach candidate? Brady had a good relationship with him. From what I understand, Champ Kelly will stay as assistant general manager for the Raiders. And the reason why I say that is actions speak louder than words. The fact that when the Raiders fired Telesco and the Raiders fired Antonio Pierce, I don't know if you guys know, but the Raiders signed a few players to reserve future contracts. The person that made those decisions was Champ Kelly. I don't think Tom Brady and Mark Davis would have allowed Champ Kelly to make, and again, the minor decisions, but I don't think that he would have been allowed to make those minor decisions if they didn't think that he was going to be a part of the long haul. So I do believe Champ Kelly is going to be staying here for the Raiders. In terms of Byron Leftwich, I'd say it's more of an OC hire instead of a head coach hire. But But I think Leftwich is a sneaky name now to be the next head coach of the Jags because Liam Cohn technically said no. He could maybe change his mind now that the Jags just fired Trent Baalke. But Byron Leftwich was the favorite, and all reports said last year that Leftwich was going to get that job after he left Tampa Bay. Leftwich decided to not take that job because he didn't want to work with Trent Baalke. Leftwich was maybe one of the best quarterbacks all time for the Jacksonville Jaguars, organization, and they wanted a young, offensive-minded dude that can work with Trevor Lawrence. So I think Leftwich is a sneaky name there in Jacksonville, but they did have a good relationship. They did work together when they ended up winning the Super Bowl. Let's go to my man Sean Irish. Love the hire. This should give the nation confidence that we are taking a step in the right direction, and I completely agree. If you're a Raiders fan and you're like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this, I don't know, this is a move that should prove to you that this organization is doing the right things. You know what I mean? Like, he's doing, the Raiders, Mark, are doing the right things. Spytek was not the splashy name, but it was the right hire. A. Sanchez, just a single Sanchez. Trade for DK Metcalf, sign Pete Carroll, Najee, and draft Sanders. The Najee Harris thing in here is what I dislike the most because you can't go out and sign Najee Harris if you don't upgrade your offensive line. Like, Harris looked a lot better this year and looked way more motivated this season in Pittsburgh than he has in years past. But, like, if you're going to say all these things, like, again, DK and Pete Carroll is going to be a very talked about topic if the Raiders get Pete. Going out and drafting Sanders is interesting. Getting a young running back like Najee Harris, again, very interesting. It is a deep draft class, though, so I think that we could get a good back. But for anybody throwing out signing a running back, I would rather allocate some of that money into the offensive line. And when you look at the way that the Bucs have kind of built their running back situation, they don't really believe in going out and paying running backs. They go out, they draft guys that can catch the football. A Bucky Irving and Rashad White, and they really focus on being able to build there in the trenches. Let's go to Jermaine. Brady, John, Carroll, we good. Who for DC or OC? If you get Pete Carroll, I would say Robert Saleh, Mike LaFleur would be the DC and OC that I would keep an eye on. Jody, Nick Saban, just kidding. What do you think of Joe Brady? You say just kidding, but Nick Saban did say literally yesterday that he's open to the idea, or if he were to coach again, it would be in the NFL before it would be in college football. And I just believe that everything happens for a reason. Timing is everything in this league. And when you see a lot of the rumors, I almost wonder, though, if that report came out more for the Dallas Cowboys, more for the Raiders. But Nick Saban's philosophy is very similar to Brady and Spytek's. Rubio, success and wealth is almost impossible to achieve via a how to get rich quick. True wealth is slowly built by smart individuals. And what's so funny about this quote is it's true, but like it's the exact opposite of what Mark Davis has done. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the exact opposite of what Davis has done from a head coach and general manager standpoint. Got another super chat coming in here from Lance, and if I am looking at this correctly, I believe this is the last super here on today's live show, which means this. If we don't get any more, it's all good. I appreciate everyone that always tunes into this show, but if you want Chugs and I to stay live, we got to keep the supers. We got to keep the questions flowing because I usually don't make videos on Wednesday, and I'm taking up studio time here, which means I got to be able to pay for that studio time. I'm just being transparent. Bring back Khalil Mack and trade for Jair Alexander. I mean, this sounds like somebody with a picture like you got. Again, I would rather the Raiders invest that money in making sure that Max Crosby doesn't want to be traded and making sure that we can bring back guys like Robert Spillane, Trevon Merrick, Adam Butler, Malcolm Kuntz. I would say it would be the higher priorities. And Jair Alexander is a big name. He's also dealt with tons of injuries, and he's been a diva in the past. I think if you were going to spend big, what Jair Alexander and what Khalil Mack would cost, I would rather invest that money. And if you're going to go out and sign a big-name free agent, the number one big-name free agent that if I'm the Raiders I would sign is Trey Smith, offensive guard from the Kansas City Chiefs. You steal a guard away from Kansas City, you go out and get the top guard on the market, and you put him next to JPJ, next to Dylan Parham, Colton Miller, DJ Glaze, and you have a great, great offensive line. That's what I would do if I was the Las Vegas Raiders, man. That's what I would do. All right, y'all, final chance to get in the duck race. It is a $20 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365. I see Rob Rice. You, sir, are in the duck race. Real Cowboy, thanks for always keeping us up to date on Raiders news. F the rest of the AFC West. Go Bills on Sunday. If anybody doesn't know this already, Chugs and I will be live on Sunday for Chiefs Bills. And it's all FKC. We will be going live, I'll say, probably about 30 minutes before kickoff. Dude, these hiccups are kicking my ass right now. So we will be live about 30 minutes before kickoff, or there is a chance if the Eagles and Commanders game is close, there is a chance that Jeremy and I will go live a little bit earlier. So just keep that one in mind. All right, y'all, I'm going to send this list over to Jeremy as we speak right now, which means 20 to win, 150. I am going to hit that refresh button. I see Sean Irish. Oh, man, we got a bunch of people that just got in. All right, can you add, Chugs, Christopher Slaughter? That's a hell of a name. Suavemente, Gabriel Ruiz, and Sean Irish. All right, so now winner gets $190. Yep, $190 as it stands right now. And I think it only makes sense after the hiring of John Spytek. Oh, wait, Patrick B wants to. Patrick B wants to. All right. So now it's to win 210. I like this a lot. I like this a lot, man. This is going to be fun. Yeah, I don't want Gruden. Again, if anybody wants Gruden, it's a hard pass for me. Cameron, what head coach goes best with Spytek? Again, I'm not looking at it as just head coach. If you're the Raiders, you have a plan, and it's not just bringing in the head coach. It's just about, you know, how do I say this in the right way? It's saying head coach, important, but head coach OCDC, that triangle is the most important thing. Who? I don't see Miguel Gomez. Sorry, Miguel. I don't have you in. Here we go. Coming up. 3, 2, 1. Oh, he just sent it. Hang on. I'll look. All right. Miguel Gomez, Adam, and then I also need you to add Alfredo. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Run it. And the bass just keeps running, running, and running, running, and running, running, and running, running, and here we go. Phillip Smith out to the early lead. Are there flashlights? Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what is it called? Telescope? Okay. I mean, is that scissors? I mean, every person's got something different. I would say the telescope would be the number one thing that I would want to have in my hand. No? Somebody said McDummy to the Pats. Yeah, that news happened yesterday. Which is why I said I think that the Patriots probably try to trade for a guy like Aiden O'Connell. True. But a person with the sword flu, he's scared me a little bit. Though this guy with a mustache in the middle is at a really interesting spot. I don't know who this guy is. Rob Rice? Come on, Rob Rice! Raymond Sanchez. Raymond Sanchez with the win. All right, Raymond, I need you to confirm that you, good sir, just received 230 doll hairs here on the Raiders Report. Raymond Sanchez, congratulations to you, my man. I do see from Cameron what head coach goes best with Spytek again. I'm just going to say I like Todd Monken the most based on the names that we've already interviewed. I would say if you're going to hire Pete Carroll, then you got to bring in Saleh, Mike LaFleur as that duo. If you're worried about being able to get a quarterback, I'll say Deion Sanders. And that's not going to be a popular one, but I said it before. I think Deion Sanders is the safest hire Mark Davis can do. I don't know if it's the safest hire for the Raiders, but I think it's the safest hire for Mark Davis. Like, if you want to assure that you're going to be able to pay off all these past head coaches, all these past GMs, even if Deion's a disaster, the amount of money Mark puts in his pocket, he's able to pay off all those guys, and we will never hear the term again, Mark Davis's cash poor. So, again, I wanted to go live here for the breaking news of the Las Vegas Raiders going out and hiring John Spytek, the next general manager here for the Silver and Black. This is an outstanding, and I mean an outstanding hire for Las Vegas. We're moving in the right direction. The next time that you're going to see Jeremy Chuggs and I, if the Raiders hire a head coach, which, who knows, maybe we'll see what happens there. Also, we will be live on Sunday. Bills, Chiefs, FKC's down below. I'll see y'all then. John Spytek, welcome to the nation.